What? Okay. YouTube is live now. All right, we're good. We're good. Well, happy Wednesday, everybody. Happy Wednesday. It is May the 5th. Ooh, it's TT birthday today. Belinda Brown, shalom, auntie. TT, if you see this, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Everybody wish my sister birthday. Happy birthday today. Okay, then she'll see it if she come in. And she may come in a little bit later. She'll be early out for work. All right, y'all. Today it is Wednesday, May the 5th, 2021, day 145 of year 3 of reading through the books of the Law and the Prophets, and of the 3-year consecutive day count, day 814 today. We are reading First Chronicles, chapter 17, 18, and 19. Then we're going to pick up in Fossilized Customs. We're going to hop back, and we're going to read those 2 pages that I skipped by mistake yesterday. Didn't do it on purpose. And then we're going to continue reading ahead. So let's go ahead and do the Shema Israel, Yahuwah Eloheinu, Yahuwah Echad. The Shema is found in Deuteronomy chapter 6. Hear, therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily, as Yahuwah, the God of our fathers, has promised us in the land that flows with milk and honey. Pay attention, everybody. Hear, O Israel. Yahuwah, our God, He is one God, and you shall love Yahuwah, your God, with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart, and you shall teach them diligently unto your children. You shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them upon the posts of your house and on your gates. And Yahuwah commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Yahuwah our God for our good always, that He might preserve us alive as it is at this day. And it shall be our righteousness if we do all these commandments before Yahuwah our God as He has commanded us. All right, beautiful people. Remember, when Yahuwah said, you shall bind them, bind His commands upon us, upon our hand, as a sign that represents our action. Although you will see some people actually doing physical signs. You will see the Jewish people actually making physical signs. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But as long as when you look at what you put there as a remembrance, that you keep the command, right? And don't put on all this stuff just to be religious and you still not keeping the commands, right? Because that's where the secret sauce lies. And actually keeping it, not looking like you keeping it, right? Okay. The sign upon your hand, you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, represents the action. And they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. You see how they wear that right there? Yeah, for sure. But no, that means here in your thinking, your mind, right? As you think, as a man thinketh, so shall he be. What happens here, happens here with the body, with the action, right? So you got to keep them both in check. The mind first, right? And as the mind is kept in check, the body will follow. The body should follow. The body should follow. You should make your body follow the proper teachings and commands of Yah. And not only that, but you shall write them on the posts of your house, like constantly teach your household and on your gates, and all those that pass by, that they would know that these people are set apart to Yah, right? And they keep His commands there. People shall always know where they can find light, right? Okay. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and hop on over to the reading for today in First Chronicles. Second. Josiah, shalom. Demi, shalom, shalom. Okay, here we go. All right. Yahuwah's covenant promises to David. When David settled in his palace, he summoned Nathan the prophet. Look, David said, I'm living in a beautiful cedar palace, but the ark of Yahuwah's covenant is out there under a tent. Nathan replied to David, do whatever you have in mind, for Yahuwah is with you. But that same night, Yahuwah said to Nathan, go tell my servant David, this is what Yahuwah has declared. You are not the one to build a house for me to live in. I have never lived in a house from the day I brought the Israelites out of Egypt until this very day. My home has always been a tent, moving from one place to another in a tabernacle. Yet no matter where I have gone with the Israelites, I have never once complained to Israel's leaders, the shepherds of my people. I have never asked them, why haven't you built me a beautiful cedar house? Right? Because Yahuwah, he don't like to be stuck in one place. He like to move about. He like to move about the decks. Top of the day, Uncle JB. Now go and say to my servant David, this is what Yahuwah, the God of heaven's armies, has declared. I took you from tending sheep in the pasture and selected you to be the leader of my people. I have been with you wherever you have gone, and I have destroyed all your enemies before your eyes. Now I will make your name as famous as anyone who has ever lived on the earth, and I will provide a homeland for my people Israel, planting them in a secure place where they will never be disturbed. Evil nations won't oppress them as they've done in the past, starting from the time I appointed judges to rule my people in Israel. So although when you read through First Kings, when you read and you see that, and at that time there was no king, there were judges, right? Yahuwah brought judges in, and judges ruled like there were kings, but Yahuwah just decided to call them judges. But they still had to follow the same rule that the king did, right? Whether male or female, whoever Yahuwah chose to rule his people at that time, they were to follow the same rules and regulations that Yahuwah has set out, just as if they had the title of king, right? Because if you rule, you're king, no matter what the title is, king, pharaoh, potentate, husband, whatever, right? You to follow the same rules as he gave to the kings, right? And I will provide a homeland for my people Israel, planting them in a secure place where they will never be disturbed. Evil nations won't oppress them as they've done in the past, starting from the time I appointed judges to rule my people Israel. And I will defeat all your enemies. Furthermore, I declare that Yahuwah will build a house for you, a dynasty of kings. For when you die and join your ancestors, I will raise up one of your descendants, one of your sons, and I will make his kingdom strong. He is the one who will build a house, a temple for me, and I will secure his throne forever. How many know who that particular king is? Let's keep it all in context. He was talking about King Solomon, right there. That's what we're talking about. I will be his father, and he will be my son. I will never take my favor from him as I took it from the one who ruled before you, which he's the one who ruled before David was Saul, right? I will confirm him as king over my house and my kingdom for all time, and his throne will be secure forever. So Nathan went back to David and told him everything that Yahuwah had said in this vision. Then King David went in and sat before Yahuwah and prayed, who am I, O Yah, and what is my family that you have brought me this far? And now, O Yah, in addition to everything else, you speak of giving your servant a lasting dynasty. You speak as though I were someone very great, O Yahuwah. What more can I say to you about the way you have honored me? You know what your servant is really like. For the sake of your servant, O Yah, and according to your will, you have done all these great things and have made them known. O Yah, there is no one like you. We have never even heard of another God like you. What other nation on earth is like your people Israel? What other nation, O Yah, have you redeemed from slavery to be your own people? You have made a great name for yourself when you redeemed your people from Egypt. You performed awesome miracles and drove out all the nations that stood in their way. You chose Israel to be your very own people forever. And you, O Yah, became their God. And now, O Yahuwah, I am your servant. Do as you have promised concerning me and my family. May it be a promise that will last forever. And may your name be established and honored forever so that everyone will say, Yahuwah, the God of heaven's armies, the God of Israel is Israel's God. And may the house of your servant David continue before you forever. O Yah, I have been bold enough to pray to you because you have revealed to your servant that you will build a house for him, a dynasty of kings. For you are God, O Yah, and you have promised these good things to your servant. And now it has pleased you to bless the house of your servant, so that it will continue forever before you. For when you grant a blessing, O Yahuwah, it is an eternal blessing. Great risings, Alicia, Betwabu, Christy. All right, y'all, we're moving on to the next chapter. First Chronicles chapter 18. David's military victories. After this, David defeated and subdued the Philistines by conquering Gath and its surrounding towns. David also conquered the land of Moab, and the Moabites who were spared. And the Moabites who were spared became David's subjects and paid him tribute money. Remember why Yahuwah said not to wipe out the Moabites completely? Anybody remember? For the sake of time, I tell you. He said not to wipe out the Moabites because he had a treasure down the line somewhere. We read a little bit more to this story, what's going on now in the Legends of the Jews. He said, do not wipe them completely out. Like, don't wipe them off the face of the earth because I have a treasure. A treasure like what Saul just did. There's a treasure I have planted in this people of the Moabites who is going to come in future generations and fix this mistake that King Saul just previously made. It was Esther. Esther was a Moabite, right? And Yahuwah was going to use Esther to fix this mess that King Saul had made, right? A very, very almost costly, like a death-defeating blow to our people, right? Okay. David also destroyed the forces of Hadaezer, king of Zeboah, as far as Hamath, when Hadaezer marched out to strengthen his control along the Euphrates River. David captured 1,000 chariots, 7,000 charioteers, and 20,000 foot soldiers. He crippled all the chariot horses except enough for 100 chariots. When the Arameans from Damascus arrived to help King Hadaezer, David killed 22,000 of them. Then he placed several army garrisons in Damascus, the Aramean capital, and the Arameans became David's subjects and paid him tribute money. So Yahuwah made David victorious wherever he went. David brought the gold shields of Hadaezer's officers to Jerusalem, along with a large amount of bronze from Hadaezer's towns of Teba and Kun. Later, Solomon melted the bronze and molded into the great bronze basin called the Sea, S-E-A, the Sea, the pillars and the various bronze articles used at the temple. When King Saul of Hamath heard that David had destroyed the entire army of King Hadaezer of Zobah, he sent his son Joram to congratulate King David for his successful campaign. Hadaezer and Torah had been enemies and were often at war. Joram presented David with many gifts of gold, silver, and bronze. King David dedicated all these gifts to Yahuwah, along with the silver and gold he had taken from the other nations, from Edom, Moab, Ammon, Philistia, and Amalek. Abishai, son of Zeruiah, destroyed 18,000 Edomites in the Valley of Salt. He placed army garrisons in Edom, and all the Edomites became David's subjects. In fact, Yahuwah made David victorious wherever he went. So David reigned over all Israel and did what was just and right for all his people. Joab, son of Zeruiah, was commander of the army. Jehoshaphat, son of Ahilud, was the royal historian. Zadok, son of Ahitub, and Ahimelech, son of Abiathar, were the priests. Sariah was the court secretary. Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, was captain of the king's bodyguard, and David's sons served as the king's chief assistants. Last chapter for today, y'all. First Chronicles chapter 19. Sometime after this, King Nahash of the Ammonites died, and his son Hanun became king. David said, I'm going to show loyalty to Hanun because his father Nahash was always loyal to me. So David sent messengers to express sympathy to Hanun about his father's death. When David's ambassadors arrived in the land of Ammon, the Ammonite commanders said to Hanun, do you really think these men are coming here to honor your father? No, David has sent them to spy out the land so they can come in and conquer it. So Hanun seized David's ambassadors and shaved them, cut off their robes at the buttocks, and sent them back to David in shame. Where right here where it said he shaved them, they shaved off, I believe they shaved off half of their beards, right? Then David heard what had happened to the men. He sent messengers to tell them, stay at Jericho until your beards grow out, and then come back, for they felt deep shame because of their appearance. When the people of Ammon realized how seriously they had angered David, Hanun and the Ammonites sent 75,000 pounds of silver to hire chariots and charioteers from Aram Naharaim, Aram, Mecca, and Zobah. They also hired 32,000 chariots and secured the support of the king of Mecca and his army. These forces camped at Medeba, where they were joined by the Ammonite troops that Hanun had recruited from his own towns. When David heard about this, he sent Joab and all his warriors to fight them. The Ammonite troops came out and drew up their battle lines at the entrance of the city, while the other kings positioned themselves to fight in the open fields. When Joab saw that he would have to fight on both the front and the rear, he chose some of Israel's elite troops and placed them under his personal command to fight the Arameans in the field. He left the rest of the army under the command of his brother Abishai, who was to attack the Ammonites. If the Arameans were too strong for me, then come over and help me, Joab told his brother. And if the Ammonites are too strong for you, I will help you. Be courageous. Let us fight bravely for our people and the cities of our God. May Yahuwah's will be done. Then Joab and his troops attacked, and the Arameans began to run away. And when the Ammonites saw the Arameans running, they also ran from Abishai and retreated into the city. Then Joab returned to Jerusalem. The Arameans now realized that they were no match for Israel. So they sent messengers and summoned additional Aramean troops from the other side of the Euphrates River. These troops were under the command of Shobak, the commander of Hadaezer's forces. When David heard what was happening, he mobilized all of Israel, crossed the Jordan River, and positioned his troops in battle formation. Then David engaged the Arameans in battle, and they fought against him. But again, the Arameans fled from the Israelites. This time, David's forces killed 7,000 charioteers and 40,000 foot soldiers, including Shobak, the commander of their army. When Hadaezer's allies saw that they had been defeated by Israel, they surrendered to David and became his subjects. After that, the Arameans were no longer willing to help the Ammonites. Like, y'all pulled us into this crap, and David then told to break us off of all of us. Like, how did they defeat all of us? All this money that I done paid out to all you to bring all y'all forces, and they still beat us? Y'all don't come talk to us no more. Now we got to go serve the king. Let's go, y'all. Everybody bow the knee. Yes, King David. All right, y'all. That's the power you have when Yahuwah fights for you, right? Don't matter how many you got. Hezekiah, shalom, brother. Oh, I started reading through that document that you sent. Thank you. That was really good. And it really does bring more clarity to some of the stuff that we're reading. I shared a couple things yesterday, a video. I actually responded to somebody. Somebody emailed me something. And I watched it. It was a video. It was really good. It was like I said, this was an older video. I think I saw a couple of them, but this is another video. It was made in the 70s, but it was uploaded recently, few years ago. You can tell how old it was from the quality of the video, but nevertheless, our people are preaching the truth, right? It's amazing. It's like the truth has, at least from what I'm coming across, and people from previous generations that are still alive that know about YouTube or have blogs and stuff. I'm like, so this truth, Yahuwah has been waking his people up in different generations, like at least as far back as I've seen so far, every generation has had the truth that Yahuwah is only one, that we should only be worshiping Yahuwah. They have been trying to bring light to our people for many years, right? But it's new to us because we was like just born, right? So it's like, what? We only supposed to be worshiping him alone. And it's blowing my mind every day. I'm like, Father, you have been so faithful to us. Even though we are not as faithful to him, that he has always been to us, always showing us the truth in every generation, right? So may he continue to bless the generations as he awakens more and more of our people, and not just our people, the people of other nations too. He told Abraham, say, you're going to be the father of many nations, right? And he's using Abraham's seed to bring light to the other nations, right? Israel is his firstborn son. Why did he say firstborn son? I know New Testament calls JC his only begotten son, like this is it all ends here. No, Yahuwah said, Israel is my firstborn son. Why? Because I don't just care about you. I do care about the other nations. And I desire that they also know truth. But I'm going to teach my firstborn son so that my firstborn son can beget many more sons and daughters, right? Yahuwah is good to all people. Yahuwah is good to all. And once we realize that, we can quit fighting amongst ourselves like we all in all and we it. Because he deal with us just like he deal with the nations if we hard-headed enough, right? But he want us to get it together so that the ones who actually inherit daddy's riches, we can be good when he leave us to rule like King David. It said King David was good to everybody in his kingdom, right? Everybody under King David's rule was treated well and fair. He desires us to rule the same way, right? As Yahuwah begins to set up thrones all across the world, what it talks about in David, and Yahuwah sat on the throne to judge, and I seen thrones being set up all across the world, and the kingdoms were handed over to the saints or to Yahuwah's people, and they began to rule forever. Remember, we was talking about that mountain. What is it? That mountain carved out without human hands, right? It's talking about our generation of people that's returning to the truth, and we're teaching the truth, not just to our people, but to all the nations of the world, so that they know Yahuwah alone, he saves. He is the only redeemer, right? Man, I know. Can't wait till we all on Cole Hezekiah. Woo! Yo, I get so excited. Booker told elect Lady Sharice, yes, Yahuwah would then. Hallelujah. Right? Okay. So we'll go back. Somebody made a mention yesterday. It was my mom. Thank you, Mom. I don't know if she came in yet. She said, did you skip a page? I'm like, I don't think so. Oh, shoot. I did skip a page. My pages were sticking together, y'all. So we skipped over page 28 and 29. So we're going to go back and we're going to read this. Okay, so let's start with this with the pictures. So you can actually, let me read it. Then I'll show you the pictures. Okay. Make sure it's not shining too bright where you can't see. Okay, page 28 of Fossilized Customs. If you don't have it, you can get it from Amazon. If you don't know the link, it's been in the last few videos, but every time we read, as long as we're reading from it, I will post the link so you can get your own copy. I'm give you the same link I got my copy from. All right. Page 28. And this book, just in case you don't know, this book is bringing a lot of light to all the pagan revelry and all the many religions that have been mixed into one, and it has thoroughly infiltrated all the religions, and especially Christianity. We're using this one because most of us come out of Christianity, but it does hit on a lot of the other religions that all this stuff is kind of mixed up into, and the people are none the wiser because they don't understand, right? Shalom, Mom, she here. Okay, we're going back to page 28 that I skipped over yesterday. Okay, y'all. And if y'all see me make a mistake, if I skipped over something, please help a sister out, right? Because 9 times out of 10, I didn't catch my mistake. So I ain't too big headed. Look, sis, you missed something. Go back. Please let a sister know, right? Okay. All right. These eggs were then hidden. Okay. So yesterday, well, kind of skipped over. So remember yesterday we was talking about the maypole, right? You know, the ring around the rosy, the maypole. That right there, they do it in school. They get the kids early. This right here. Okay, so we was talking about that, and they actually have more over here as well. These, I know everybody's familiar with these. They done tricked all of us as kids. They even still doing it today. Well, when my kids was still in the public school system during field day, they would bring this stuff out. Ain't no telling what they be doing PE classes and stuff like that either, right? They literally have our children. They think this is a fun game, ring around the rosy, but you're actually making them do a hidden sexual act that they have no clue that they're doing, right? And it's a disgusting thing. Yahuwah said, come out of her, my people. Everybody, let's go. What are you doing here? That's I feel like Yahuwah be saying that to us sometimes. Like, didn't I tell you, get your butt from over there. You know you're supposed to be over there. Get out of there. Get all y'all. Get everybody, right? That's what Yahuwah was saying to us now, right? Come out of her, my people. Come out of the belly of the beast. The religions all over the world that has thoroughly been infiltrated with all this garbage, right? Okay, so we're not coming against people who are still calling themselves Christians. We're just trying to wake you up to some truth so you can choose life or death, right? Okay, all right. So page 28. These eggs were hidden. It's talking about the Easter eggs. Remember it's saying doing Easter. Easter is actually a representation of the worship of Semiramis, or which she's named a lot of different names, Diana, Ishtar, Easter, right? They had to remove all that. They made it sound nice and sweet. They actually added Easter to the Bible now. If you go in the New Testament, they removed Passover and they put in Easter. My mom was the first one to bring that to my attention a few years ago. I was like, wait a minute, what? And so she said, look, she said, check it. And that's when we started realizing electronic Bibles, they are good and they're very convenient, y'all, but it's really easy for them to tamper with them. And I'm glad I have old Bibles, right? And she showed it to me. I was like, you're right. My printed version Bible, I got a real old Bible. I said it has Passover, but they've changed it. They're starting tampering with stuff and they're changing it and they put in Easter, y'all. So y'all gotta pay attention to this stuff. Lindsay, shalom, brother, shalom. Okay, so that's what it's talking about with the eggs. It's talking about the Easter eggs that they paint. So when they take them and they put them on the ground, they hide them in the ground. It's you're practicing to act like the Earth Mother is impregnated again with Tammuz's seed, like his son, right? So Tammuz, Semiramis, remember Tammuz died, which was Semiramis' son, but she apparently married her son, gave birth to this man child, right? Which we can thoroughly see father, mother, son, and a lot of the religion. So that's where we at. These eggs were hidden from evil spirits in rabbits' nests, another symbol of fertility. Easter is the name of the Babylonian mother of harlots, Revelation chapter 17, and her image stands as the sun goddess, Lady Liberty in New York Harbor. We talked about Lady Liberty. Lady Liberty, the statue, the torch, and everything. It's another depiction of Semiramis, so Ishtar or Easter, right? This colossal statue even has the tower headpiece as seen worn by Artemis, worshipped as Diana at Ephesus. And we read about that. If you're familiar with the New Testament, they talk about some of these things, but a lot of people, when they read through it asleep, they don't catch it. The sun rays, the torch, and facing the sunrise tell us an ancient sun goddess tells us it's an ancient sun goddess, and Yahuwah hates it. Her emblem is the flower of the lily seen illustrated above. Okay, so now I'm going to show y'all the pictures. Okay. If you don't have the book. So this is the eggs, and this is like the hidden secrecy and stuff. We know who these people are, right? And so this is her symbol, the flower lily. Can you see that? Okay. Her emblem is the flower lily seen illustrated above. In American society, the Easter Seals Society uses the fleur de lis, French flower of the lily, as their logo, and they have no religious affiliations. Most church groups decorate with lilies on Easter morning. Instead of inheriting truth, they inherited Babylon. They do nothing Yahuwah instructed us to do, but everything he ordered us to never learn to do. That's one of the, like I always tell y'all that as Yahuwah began to wake me up, I began to realize everything that we were doing in the Christian church was going against everything that Yahuwah had told us, right? I said, we are doing everything he told us not to do. Okay. Athena is Greek for deathless one. Mankind is exploited as they search for love, and few find the eternal love of their creator as they fall prey to schemes of the devil. Notice the serpent next to the shield below. It has been said Athena would shake her spear when she heard lies, and this part of the mythology about her gives the pen name Shakespeare to the unverified author of 400 years ago. Hold on, that didn't make sense. Hold on, I'll read it again. It has been said Athena would shake her spear when she heard lies, and this part of the mythology about her gives the pen name Shakespeare to the unverified author of 400 years ago. Okay, so I'll show you the picture again. So see her little scepter. Oh, what is it? Who say her spear? Okay, her spear. Okay, scepter, spear, whatever. She would shake that, right? And that's how Shakespeare got his name. Shaitan or Satan hides and imitates. He is often depicted as a female persona. This this being has deceived every nation of the whole earth. He rules through a beast, a worldwide authoritarian the authoritarian teaching authority, imposing its control. It is the reign of Babel and operates in three estates: clergy, nobility, and laity. Remember, laity are the common people, or like us, like all the little people that don't hold positions. We're considered laity, right? A fourth estate has developed in recent centuries called the media. Okay, let's go on to the next section, Easter. Easter, beast, pagan festival in the spring. The appointed times of Yahuwah are totally ignored by the reign of Babel, but you may say the word Easter is in my King James Version. Translations are not inspired, and errors exist by the tens of thousands in many translations. And those of us that just do like light research, we all come across that, right? So it's good to know how to do just a little light research to kind of be able to track back to the origin of words and do the proper etymology. If you know how to do that, you can use any type of Bible, because if you know how to do that, you will be able to go back and pull the truth from that, right? Okay. The word in the Greek that underlies the word Easter in the KJV is Pascha, and it means Passover, from the Hebrew word Pesach. All scholars admit that this is an error in translation, and it only appears once at Acts 12:14. Luke, who wrote almost 40% of the Nazarene writings or the New Testament, didn't put it there as Easter. The KJV is, the KJV is the only translation with this error. There was a previous English translation made by the Catholic priest John Wycliffe during the 14th century. He lived from 1320 to 1384, and his bones were burned in effigy for this unauthorized English work. He never used the word church, but rather used the word congregation for the word ecclesia. William Tinsdale translation used congregation, and Henry, I don't really know my Roman numerals that well, so it's Henry to something. It's V, and it's 3 I's after it. So whoever knows that, I would have to go look that up. Henry, whatever, the V, I, burn him at the stake. Whichever one down the line of Henry's, this was him. The VIII. Okay. William Tinsdale translation used congregation, and Henry VIII burned him at the stake. The worldly order, the Nicolaitans' hierarchy of clergy, nobility, laity, the three estates, insisted on recognizing the authority of the church as distinct from the commoners or congregation. Before the KJV, no one had ever used the word church in a translation. Pagan religions parallel each other, carrying the sun, earth mother, and the child model from Babylon to Media Persia, Egypt, Greece, Rome, and the Celts, or Celts, Celts. The Medes developed the mythology into Zoroastrianism, producing the magician or Magnus priest called Magi. Okay, thank you. Henry the Eighth. I ain't that slow, y'all, but I appreciate that because I really don't. I didn't pay attention to that part in school. I thought it was needless. Apparently not. I didn't know I was going to be reading this at 42 years old. Thank you. Henry the Eighth. Henry the is Henry the Eighth. Thank y'all. Everybody know Roman numerals but me. Father, help me. Okay. All right. I got it, y'all. Thank you. They worship, we're on page 30, y'all. They worship Ahura, Haoma, and Ormazd as their trinity. The Greek deity Zeus was a solar deity whose mother is sometimes seen with a headpiece very much like Lady Liberty, depicting the rays of the sun. Rays or halos are an indication astrology is involved somehow. Remember, we read this part yesterday, but I said after we read the pages that I skipped by mistake, we was going to reread this again. So if it sounds familiar, it's because we did read it. Okay. The Britannica Encyclopedia, 1934 states, Easter, Ostara or Easter, was the goddess of spring in the religion of the ancient Anglos and Saxons. Every April, a festival was celebrated in her honor. With the beginnings of Christianity, the old gods were put aside. From then on, the festival was celebrated in honor of the resurrection of Christ, but was still known as Easter after the old goddess. In contrast, the Creator says, break down their altars, smash their sacred stones, and burn their Ashtoreth, or Easter poles in a fire. Cut down, remember the Easter poles, the Asherah represents the male penis, right? The male penis impregnates Mother Earth. Thereby you get the eggs and reproduce the son, right? They put son, S-U-N, but reproducing the third person in that party, the son, S-O-N. Y'all get it. Look, I'll read what Yahuwah says again. In contrast, the Creator says, break down their altars, smash their sacred stones, and burn their Asherah, Easter poles in a fire. Cut down the idols of their Elohim and wipe out their names from those places. You must not worship Yahuwah, your Elohim, in their way. Remember, just for those who don't understand, and that's Deuteronomy chapter 12. Elohim means lofty or mighty one. Yahuwah are mighty one. And the proper pronunciation of Elohim is Elohim, right? There is no E in the Hebrew language. It's all A. They got Abraham's name right, but everybody else with E's, like Elijah should be Aliyah, right? Or Aliyahu, however you pronounce it, right? Okay, that's pretty clear. But what happened? The hypothesis of this book is that as the pagans and their manners were absorbed or became Christianity, the policy to accept everything the pagans were accustomed to celebrating, the policy to accept everything the pagans were accustomed to celebrating became the norm. They eliminated everything Yahuwah told us to do. Let's hear it directly from the Catholic organization itself. The Catholic Cardinal John Henry Newman's book, The Essay on the Development of Christian Doctrine, published in 1878, states in chapter 8, the rulers of the church from the early times were prepared, should the occasion arise, to adopt, to imitate, or to sanctify the existing rights and customs of the population as well as the philosophy of the educated class. The use of temples and those dedicated to particular saints and ornamented on occasion with branches of trees, wreaths. Remember, wreaths represent the woman's vagina, right? Hanging wreaths on your door during the holiday season, you just put a woman's vajayjay on your front door, my G. Take it down. Take it down. The use of temples and those dedicated to hold on, I was about to laugh. The use of temples and those dedicated to particular saints and ornamented on occasion with branches of trees, wreaths, incense, lamp, candles, votive, offerings on recovering from illnesses, holy water, holy days and seasons, the entire church calendar, use of calendars, processions, blessings on the fields, sacerdotal vestments, the ring in marriage, chants, the Kyrie eleison, all of pagan origin and sanctified by adoption into the church. John Henry Newman's book was written in response to Alexander Hislop's The Two Babylons. But you may ask, if Easter was a pagan festival celebrating the impregnation of Mother Earth, how did it get mixed up with Christianity? Christianity's sun cult, S-U-N, when you hear in Christianity, the teaching, when they say the sun, they're fooling you that it's S-O-N, but it's really S-U-N, people. Look, Christianity's sun cult connection started with one man more than any other. And we all know who this famous person is, Constantine, right? Everybody know about the Nicene Council, or if you don't, we're about to learn about what they did and how they began to change the times and the dates and the seasons, just like Yahuwah was faithful to tell Daniel that was going to happen, right? This was Constantine Yahuwah was talking about. In 325 CE, the Roman Emperor Constantine I, I know that Roman number is 1. Constantine I convened what is now called the Nicene Council, gathering 220 elders or bishops together in order to unify basic doctrines, teachings, and establish common practices. One objective was to set a universal date for Eastertide. If Constantine had not done this, you would have never heard your pastor utter the word Easter, and you would be observing Passover each year in its proper time. Listen, hold on. Let me. I'm not telling y'all to go watch this series, but I watched this series as I was learning stuff. I was drawn to this particular series. It's called The Magicians, right? I'm not recommending that y'all go watching it, but I learned something from this series, and I think it was probably, I want to say it was season 3 as I was watching what they was doing, because it's scriptures all through stuff, and they take it and they twist it right, and you can see how the different religions are kind of mixed up into it. But there was this one particular episode, and I think it was season 3, right? One of the girls' parents in there, one of the magicians, her parents were also magicians, but they were part of these secret societies and stuff. You know how secret societies, they throw orgies, right? So they were throwing this well, it wasn't necessarily them. It was one of the other gods, right? But this one, it really brought out a lot of this paganism and how it's done. And what it was, every Easter, matter of fact, Easter, Ishtar was there. They actually had somebody playing Semiramis Easter, right? She was the one at her estate. She was the one every year at Easter that she threw this big shebang, right? And all the gods from all over the world, like all these guys we're reading about, they all showed up. Like Thor showed up. Like everybody was there. And I'm watching this. I had to watch it a couple of times. I'm like, did they really just do this? I'm going to see. I don't know that I should post it here because, like I said, I don't think everybody used to watch that. But it brought out something, and they actually went through some of the stuff that we're just now learning about. Clearly, Hollywood clearly knows it inside and out, because they had it set up, and they even joked about stuff about what they did. And guess who also showed up to the party, right? They son. Guess who their son was, y'all? Somebody said. Somebody said. Somebody said. Guess who their son was? Tammuz's son and Semiramis, or Easter son. Somebody please drop it down again. If y'all don't know, it's the God of Christianity, right? JC showed up. They son showed up, and they went like, it was like, if you didn't understand this, you would not catch. Yes, you would not catch the blasphemy. I like hollered laughing because when I saw it, I understood it, and I was completely flabbergasted that they would even. I was like, clearly Hollywood knows all this entire farce because everybody played the part so well, and they even has like, hold on, we out of wine, go ahead. I done blessed it. Everybody fill up your cups. It's the best wine now. Like all of this stuff. And they were actually calling. Oh, y'all. I mean, they were calling out real names of these false deities and gods who Yahuwah said there are no gods at all. They are idols, right? And it just blew my mind. So it's like, I was like, Father, clearly we should only be listening to you. I said, they are making mockery of people in the different religions and especially the churches, right? And we learned what the origin of the word Christianity is, right? I think it was yesterday or day before yesterday what they gave us, and it just to go back to it, the definition of Christian or Cretan is fool, or they called you that if they thought you were retarded. That's what it said, right? That's the definition of it. Sharice, it was a series. It wasn't a movie. It was one of the episodes. I'm gonna see if I can go in there. I'm gonna make myself a note. I'm not saying for y'all to watch the entire thing, right? Because when I say it's a bunch of pagan, I had to skip through a lot of it because it actually shows a lot of the ritual, and they were sexual rituals. That's what I'm saying. It's not for everybody, especially if y'all got issues with your eyes and. Don't watch it, right? I had to skip through a lot of that stuff, but I knew what I was looking for. So it's actually a series called The Magicians, right? And I'm gonna see if I can pull that episode out for you, so you can look at it. I believe it was on Netflix. I think it was on Netflix. I'll look at episode with Easter. It blew my mind, y'all. Okay, so I'll see. Don't nobody go looking for that. I'm telling you, just because I had to skip through a lot of the stuff. But I see if I can find this one about Easter. Okay, so when I find it, I'll put it in the comment. When I make my comment and I pin it, I'll pin it there for you guys to see. Rebecca said, yes. As my eyes were being open, I seen and see a lot of this in the church. Yes, me and my husband are pastors, and we completely stopped preaching in church once we realized it was a lie. And may Yahuwah bless you and your husband for waking up, not just waking up to the truth, but doing what's right when Yahuwah showed you truth. Man, may Yahuwah bless the work of your hands as he uses you to teach the truth to Yahuwah's people now, right? Yes, they came out of her. All right, y'all. Okay, so let's go back up here. Okay, in 325 CE, the Roman Emperor Constantine I convened what is now called the Nicene Council, gathering 220 elders, bishops together. Well, elders, they got in parentheses, bishops together, in order to unify basic doctrines or teachings and establish common practices. One objective was to set a universal date for Eastertide. If Constantine had not done this, you would have never heard your pastor utter the word Easter, and you would be observing Passover each year in its proper time. Yahuwah's Nazarene don't observe the Eastertide. And that's right here. He is not the Easter lamb. He is the Passover lamb. Remember I said yesterday, I take issue with that because Yahuwah did. Like I said, this guy's good with bringing out this information, but there's still that one part with the human sacrifice. Although he talks about Yahuwah saying the human sacrifice is forbidden, for some reason, he still hasn't linked that part to it. So I'll correct that as we read along, right? So Yahuwah said we simply need to return to him, repent, right? He said the righteous cannot die for the sins of the wicked. Yet when we get over into the New Testament, I know this is touchy, and this is where people be ready to crucify me and argue me down. But I'm telling you what Yahuwah said. If you don't know what Yahuwah said, you will not be able to pick it up when you come across it, right? Yahuwah said the wicked, he said, it is absolutely forbidden by me that the righteous should die for the sins of the wicked. He said the wicked will die for their own sins if they do not turn away from them, right? He constantly was telling the people not to pass their children through the fires of Molech, sacrificing their children, their virgin children's innocent blood to cover their sins. That's what Yahuwah constantly said. So if he constantly kept repeating this and telling his prophets to tell his people this and not to do, he said, this disgusting thing. He said, matter of fact, it never even crossed my mind to do such a thing, right? Yahuwah constantly repeat that. He said, it never crossed my mind to tell you to sacrifice your innocent sons and daughters for the forgiveness or for the atonement of your sins. It never even crossed my mind. So if he constantly spent all this time saying this, would he then go and sacrifice his son, his innocent son, for the sins of the wicked? If we don't know what Yahuwah says, we are taking by leaven that has been added to the loaf, right? And that's what we're trying to get people to see. We're trying to get people to see that Yahuwah said that his son, not one person, is a multitude of people. It's the entire nation of Israel, the descendants of Jacob, the sons and the daughters. How do we know this? Because we go back to Exodus and we even read it in Hosea, right? Yahuwah said, I have called my son out of Egypt. Who did he call out of Egypt? Not one. I need that one person right there. That's my boy. Come here, boy. No, he said, all of my people, let all of them go. That's my son. That's why we had the plague of the death of the firstborn. Yahuwah said, because you're killing my son, not one person, I'm going to kill all the firstborn of Egypt. That's why all the firstborn of Egypt died with the plague of death, because Egypt was killing Yahuwah's firstborn son, which was the entire nation of our people, those who descend the bloodborn from Jacob, right? Y'all got to get that. When y'all get that, leaven will pop out to you everywhere and you will not be taken by it, right? The church teaches, although a lot of them teach it ignorantly because they were born into the beast system and they don't quite understand yet. Either Yahuwah hasn't opened their eyes yet, or they have chosen to ignore the truth, which would have set them free, right? And therefore, they have gotten a strong delusion. That's just like Yahuwah has said, because you rejected truth. Matter of fact, because you rejected truth, my truth, what would have set you free, I'm going to reject you and I'm going to reject your children too. That's what he tells us in Amos. So we're trying to wake people up. There are people that I found that are knowingly, they're not ignorant preaching false doctrine. They know full well because they can't let mammon go. They can't let the money go that has come into their hands for preaching a false message. They can't let it go. So they choose to continue teaching lies so they can continue to pad their pockets, right? But those who wake up and come out of her, Yahuwah said, you will be blessed. You are the set apart, right? And it doesn't just have to be the sons and daughters. It can be anybody from any nation who decides to put away all of those things and turn to Yahuwah alone. Okay. The universalizing produced the Roman Catholic Church, RCC. The Latin word Catholic means universal. There was no Catholic on planet Earth prior to this council. Paul, Luke, Miriam, and the other followers were not Catholics. The only council mentioned in the writings was conducted by the first Nazarene, is mentioned in Acts 15, the purpose of which was to determine how to accommodate adult Gentile converts who were turning to the true Creator. The topic, circumcision. Since immersion in the name and receiving the Spirit into your heart is our circumcision, it was decided that physical circumcision was not necessary. Like, who told you that, right? Nobody told you. Nobody authorized you to do that, Constantine. Constantine's council sought to institute new tolerances for pagan patterns and outlaw the patterns that Yahusha lived by and taught. Constantine had already proclaimed Sunday, S-U-N-day, remember the worship of the sun deity, right? Constantine had already proclaimed Sunday to be the day of rest dedicated to the sun in 321 CE, and now it came time to synchronize more paganism. By not repenting and turning away from elementary foolishness, it was simpler just to absorb the behavior. Political and religious control is a slippery thing, so by keeping the pagan rituals in place, control was maintained with a minimum effort. Truth was twisted by the spin doctors, so lies and futility became our traditions. Rather than make 99% of the people conform to a totally new behavior, it was easier just to exterminate the 1% and put a scriptural spin on the pagan customs. This is what overwhelmed all our ancestors, being taught these things as young children, right? You get them when they're early and they'll grow up in it and they'll continue to reproduce the lies if they aren't waking up, if they don't wake up to the truth. Paganism has always been highly skilled at wrapping dissimilar things together, making things appear one way on the surface and making the loosely understood things shrouded in what the mystagogues call the mysteries of the faith. Okay. Psalm 22 is very intense and difficult for me to read, since it describes how so here's one of them things y'all see here. Okay, I'm gonna just read it like it says, but we know we just got finished talking about it, right? Now I get his teaching and saying this, but this is wrong. Okay, but I'm gonna read to you what it says so you can hear what I'm saying. Psalm 22 is very intense and difficult for me to read, since it describes how much Yeshua suffered for me. Yahuwah removed his spirit from Yahusha's earthly flesh in his dying moments and placed the sins or crimes of the whole world on him, which we know that is not true. Yahuwah said he told us not to do it, and he himself is not going to do it, right? And it says Yahuwah's face was turned away from him. Here's an analysis of the Hebrew words of the first verse and why Yahusha spoke them. Psalm 22:1, Matthew 27:46, Mark 15:34. Allah, Allah, lama azabachthani. Allah, Allah, my lofty one. At first, the bystanders thought Yahusha was calling on Eliyahu, a fairly common practice, in spite of being necromancy, speaking to the dead, or they thought he was calling Elijah, right? Lama, why? Azabath and I, leave, forsake, or lose me. Read Psalm 22. Yahusha was referring to the whole psalm by quoting the first verse, but his very last word is of peculiar importance. Teachers tell us he said tilo, that's Greek for it is finished. The Hebrew word that best expresses the completion of his mission would have struck your heart if you had been there to hear it as his breath left his body. A word that you know means peace also means completed, as if a final payment had been made on a contract. And so, like I said, that I get what he's trying to teach, but that's still not, there's still some leaven. He ain't quite worked out yet based on what Yahuwah has told us. And when we are not sure, we go back to what Yahuwah has said. Yahuwah is our authority, right? I'll mark this up too, just in case my kids come read this. I need to mark this as 11. He ain't quite got this part right yet. Okay, okay, now it's going into Shalom. We're on page 32, y'all. Restoring Bikurim, Hebrew for first fruits or firstborn. Bikurim, or first fruits, occurs on the first day of the week, and it is tied to the 7 days of matzah, or unleavened bread. The year of Yahusha's death and resurrection, Bikurim followed the resurrection, and it was after 3 complete days and 3 complete nights in the tomb. Like, I'm only reading, I feel some kind of way reading this, y'all, because it's not right. And I get what he's teaching. But for the sake, so people don't say I'm skipping over stuff, I want to read it, but bring truth to it so you can go back and read the scriptures and stuff, right? I understand what he's trying to teach from it, but still, you just need to make sure we're holding what Yahuwah has said at the forefront of our minds so we don't get taken again by it. Not that he's trying to lead anybody astray, but this part, he still hasn't completely worked out with what Yahuwah has said. Okay. Yahusha was discovered by Miriam of Migdal in the morning, and he would not let her touch him because he was just about to ascend to present himself as first fruits from the dead, clothed in his immortal body. All these work together to fulfill his prophecy. The sign of Jonah, 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth, followed by Bikurim, or first fruits, is the evidence of his teaching authority. Today, this is missed because the world embraces lies, futility, and things of no profit. The promotion of Sunday being 3 days and 3 nights after Yahusha's death is a lie and certainly futility. These things collide with tradition, but are not meant to condemn or belittle those who are misguided. Yahuwah's truth is being released so that it can expose the spirit of error that is working in men's hearts through the power of Satan. The teachings of Jezebel, witchcraft, are holding the world in their spell. The battle is over hearts and minds of mankind. When Esther is exposed for who she is, a witch, millions of current Christians will become not serene, the followers of Yahuwah, and follow only him. If they had been taught the 10 Commandments, they would never have fallen for Esther's lies in the first place. In order to blend practices into universal or Catholic behavior, the real Sabbath was outlawed along with Passover and other annual Hebrew observances. This was a prophecy revealed to Daniel. In the prophecy, 4 beasts or avatars or reigns would arise, which are Babylon, Media-Persia, Greece, and Rome. At Daniel 7:25, the 4th beast is described. The 4th beast is the kingdom that will appear on earth, which is Rome, right? All under the Vatican, right? It will be different from all other kingdoms and will devour the entire earth, trampling it down and crushing it. Like everybody go to visit the Pope and kiss his hand. And they should have taken it, just ring it. And what you doing, everybody? Okay, let me finish reading. The 10 horns are 10 kings who will come from this kingdom. Caesars, Kaisers, Caesars, Julius Caesar, up to Constantine. After them, another king will arise, different from the earlier ones. Constantine fused the sun worshippers with the Nazarene writings and was not of any royal family lineage. He will subdue 3 kings. He will speak against the Most High and oppress his saints, the Kodeshim, those set apart, especially the Hebrew people, and try to change set times and law. Scripture is a pattern for our living in peace, guiding us with its law. The changing of the set times or seasonal appointments decreed at Deuteronomy chapter 16 and Leviticus 23 were wiped out and replaced with pagan observances imposed by Constantine. At Constantine's Nicene Council, he put such fear in some of the visiting elders that encyclopedias explain how many ran for their lives when they heard the things being discussed. The Edict of Milan in 313 had outlawed synagogues, but Constantine's council at Nicaea boldly outlawed the Torah, fulfilling the prophecy of Daniel 7:25. And if people don't understand that, like some of the stuff that happened in Daniel, if people don't understand when this stuff took place, they're still looking off for some future Antichrist, right? When the Antichrist and his system has been here. It's talking about a system and how they will subdue all the nations of people on the world. Everybody has been subdued by Rome, right? So remember, these religions have you looking off. They play that Jedi mind trick on you. Oh, he coming. The Antichrist is coming. His mark is coming, and you not realizing that you already have the beast mark by being in their system and following the lies that they have perpetrated and subdued all the nations with. That's what Daniel is talking about. This has happened already. Like, it's happening now. We're living in it. People, okay, y'all get what I'm saying, right? Okay. Everything that we know went wrong long ago, and it became a powerful, institutionalized beast, just as scripture calls it. If there were just a few little traces of paganism, that would be horrifying enough. But let's investigate further so we can decide whether or not the steel framework on which many stand has any rivets in any of its girders. There is not one encyclopedia article that does not bring Constantine's so-called conversion to Christianity into question. Yet a couple of billion of people today are following his edicts. He founded Catholicism. He founded Catholicism, and there is no dispute about that. The 95 issues that Martin Luther called Luther, people call him Martin Luther. The 95 issues that Martin Luther nailed to the church door in Wittenberg was the beginning point for the Reformation. He was a professor of theology and was disturbed by the selling of indulgences supposedly able to shorten one's stay in purgatory. The seeds of this Reformation began with John Wycliffe's unauthorized translation of the Nazarene writings or the New Testament into English. Does our Creator reveal anything in his word about popes? How about monks or nuns? Pagans have all of these things and always have. Lama is the Hindu term for monk. Dalai Lama means highest monk. Nuns were temple prostitutes, covering themselves to keep from being recognized. They are male and female prostitutes mentioned in scripture who served in the pagan temples, and we read about them. Scripture calls them shrine prostitutes all through the Old Testament. Shrine prostitutes today, we know them as nuns. They trying to hide themselves and cover themselves. Oh no, they don't cover right here. They just wear all this and cover all this, right? Some of them, it depends. Some of them do, right? They look holy, but they not. They the prostitutes. There are male and female prostitutes mentioned in scripture who serve in pagan temples. Such fornicating was the object service in their worship. In the worship of Vesta, these fertility priestesses were called Vestal virgins, but they were nothing of the kind. They kept watch over the sacred fires and Zoroastrian rituals. Hold on, I'm sorry. They kept watch over the sacred fires. In Zoroastrian rituals, men did this. They wore black and called Komar dark ones because their robes became soiled with the soot and ashes of keeping the sacred fires going. These fires were also used for human sacrifices. Where we at? Okay, let's just read this and then we'll pause. Okay, monks also wear red ceremonial robes symbolizing the fire of the sun. Yasharal or Israel, they call us by different names. Yisrael, Yasharal, Israel. Yisrael had no one dressed in black or red. The priests wore white linen. There were no shaven-headed monks because such trimming was specifically forbidden by the Creator at Leviticus 19. Most likely because the pagans did it, right? He said, don't do nothing that they doing. Let your head, let it all grow out, right? It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out. But people wear black today to funerals because the pagans often burned their dead on raised platforms. The smoke and ashes soiled their garments. So ashes became a symbol of mourning. You see corpse burning occasionally in the movies. And a Star Wars movie ends with a scene where they burn one of their fallen comrades, and Luke Skywalker burned his dead father in a previous episode. The dead were burned because pagans believed that burying them would defile the earth. Fire, water, winds, and the earth were sacred to the pagans. Cremation is still very popular. Holy water comes from the Hindu belief the water of the Ganges River is sacred. Holy water comes from the Hindu belief the water of the Ganges River is sacred. Since the Roman Papa, monks, nuns wearing black, shaving heads into tonsure, I think that's tonsure, Tonsure, shaving heads into tonsure cuts, burning the dead, playing with holy water. Sunday and Easter are not in scripture. We must not learn the way of the heathen. Okay, sorry. We must not learn the way of the heathen. Jeremiah chapter 10. What is science? The definition of science is interesting. Science or science, S-I''E-N-S. Learning or study concerned with demonstrable truths. Science is the search for truth based on the Latin scire, to know. To ignore the truth and continue to follow lies would be unthinkable. But even if people never find out the truth, they still participate in pseudoscience or false knowledge, untruth, if they stay in error. The name of the Creator, Yahuwah. Now we're going to investigate the real name of the Creator. According to Psalm 118, the name is the rock the builders rejected. The first to present his case seems right till another comes forward and questions him. Proverbs 18 and 17. The name of Yahuwah is a strong tower. The righteous run to it and are safe. Proverbs 18 and 10. And he has a picture of the Sinai autograph, or the covenant name. And that is that's more like a paleo Hebrew representation of the name of Yahuwah. Okay, so this is where we'll stop at for today. And I'll actually reread this last little portion where we started at the name of the Creator. And then it's going to go into all of this. And it's going to walk you through it. But what I'll also do, he actually has a video which is about 5 minutes where he explains it and he kind of holds it up. So I'll post that for y'all to look at that today. It's like 5 minutes, right? It's really good. It may be able to help you. It may help you to actually see it and see him explain it. That way it'll, y'all probably already get it, but he's going to explain to you how certain letters didn't exist in the original Hebrew language, and the mispronunciation of his name, where you hear people call him Yahweh. I ain't gonna fuss a fight with people, but he explains to you how in the language they didn't have a U, but they used the V. But the V, it made the oo sound, right? So with the double V, or it looked like a double U, but it made the oo sound. He's going to explain it, and it's going to explain it a little bit here, but you will get it, and you will see why it's not pronounced Yahweh, but Yahu. Because that double V, and they just never corrected it. They should, when they created the U, they should have either put U's there or O's there, but they left the V, right? Where people think my name is Yahweh forever, but it's a mistransliteration and a mispronunciation. You got two things going on there, but we know who you're talking about when you say Yahweh. We ain't gonna fight with you, but just in case you want to make sure you're pronouncing it right. And I know I thoroughly screw up some names sometime, but I want to at least get the name of my creator right? So, but it's actually Yahuwah and not Yahweh. But that's what it's going to go into tomorrow. Like I said, I'm going to share that little 5-minute clip so you can see that. And I thought it was a really good explanation. Okay. All right, y'all. So with that being said, that is our reading for today. Sorry. Okay. We read 1 Chronicles 17, 18, and 19, and we read Fossilized Customs, pages 28 to 34. It is Wednesday, beautiful people. May the 5th, 2021, day 145 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets. And of the 3-year consecutive day count, we are at day 814. 814. That is without the Sabbath days and the feast days added into the count. Why? Because we rest like Yahuwah has commanded us to. But if we add them all up, we'd be close to the 1,000-day mark, right? Because we're resting. There's 52 Sabbaths a year, right? One rest day out of each week. Yahuwah said this 52 is a perfect 52 weeks according to the book of Enoch in every single year. As long as time has been, it's always been that way. I know people sometimes teach a 13th month, but that goes against what Yahuwah has said, and it also kind of proves when the Romans were doing their calendar, how they began to realize if it was too many or too less, the seasons would seem to come in later and later. So they had to adjust it, right? That's why there's probably the one thing that the Gregorian calendar has right, that is 12 months. Now, what they name them and how they push the seasons and name them around, that's all chopped and screwed. But that's one thing that they got right is 12 months, right? That's what that's what the book of Enoch teaches us. All right, so that being said, let's go ahead and do the blessing for today, y'all, which is found in Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. Remember, y'all, the Nazarite vow is the first 21 verses of Numbers chapter 6. A man or woman can take it. And Yahuwah, okay, thank you. I see it. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, May Yahuwah bless us and keep us. May Yahuwah make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. May Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon us and give us peace. And they shall put my name, Yahuwah's name, upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. Torah Rabbah says, okay, y'all. You're welcome. All right, y'all. So I don't see. Fire, shalom. Okay, y'all. I don't see any questions over here. Nobody asked any questions over here. So that being said, beautiful people, we out of here. I'll see y'all back here tomorrow, bright and early, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace.